Hey, book friends! I hope you're having an amazing spooky October. So, I'm sitting here and I realized that a lot of the books I've read over the last couple months definitely qualify as spooky season reads, and a lot of them are horror. So, I thought I would do a little compilation video of all of the spooky horror books that I would recommend for spooky season. So, I'm going to talk about each book with a little bit about the plot, but definitely there won't be any spoilers. A lot of these I have full reviews on, so I will make note of that if there is a full review. And while I do that, I'm going to continue working on Tishka's next sweater because it's getting chilly sweater weather. All right, so let's get started.
Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows, only time.
All right, so the first book that I want to talk about is actually a book from an Icelandic author. I won't attempt to say her name. It's called The Night Guest, and this is this really short, awesome read about this woman who is waking up exhausted every morning with like bruises and cuts, and she can't figure out what's happening at night, and she's going to the doctor trying to figure it out, and like it turns out that she's like going places at night, and so good, so scary. Like the reveal at the end is just horrifying, and I was so into this book and so obsessed with the character. I didn't even like notice how many pages it was, and so when it ended like really abruptly, like it's like less than 200 pages, I was just like like that's it. Like I could have read a book this book like 10 times over. Like it was just so good. I was really waiting to hear what the rest of the story could have been because it's just so abrupt with this kind of like horrifying ending. But I can't recommend this book enough. It's like satirical, spicy, thriller, and horror. I will say if you're like really sensitive about cats, then maybe like think twice about reading it. But yeah, I love this book. And it just shows that I need to read more books set in Iceland because this is the second book that I've read set in Iceland that I love. There's another book called that I read called 30 Days of Darkness about this, basically she's like this snobby author, and she goes to like a book convention, and there's like this super popular like crime writer, and she's like, you're so full of shit, like anyone can write like a crime novel in like a month. And he's like, oh yeah, well like go do it, then go write a crime novel. And so she has to like go and write a crime novel so she can save her dignity, and she goes to Iceland and writes this crime novel and ends up like trying to solve a mystery there. Really, really good. I'll definitely link both of those, and let's keep going with the list. So, you've definitely heard of this next one, but you might not have read the original book. I'm talking about Rosemary's Baby. I read this for the first time a couple weeks ago after reading a book, The New Couple in 5B, that was like inspired by Rosemary's Baby. And I realized I'd never read the original book. And let me tell you, it is excellent. You probably already know this story, so I'll just talk a little bit about my feelings about the book. It's super short and there's like no downtime. You just get right into it. And even if you've already seen the movie and know the story, it's still a super entertaining, amazing read. I was really shocked and like horrified by the ending, even though I knew what was going to happen. And I was like reading it at night and it really scared me. Like I kept feeling like I was hearing noises. And yeah, it's just kind of rare that I actually get scared by a thriller or horror book. Like I have like a high scare. What is it? A high scare stamina. And yeah, it was just fun to read something like classic and high quality because I feel like I kind of read a lot of garbage that is just popular on like Bookstagram, and I buy into like the fun covers. So it was just really nice to like go back and read a classic. So if you're looking for a classic, quick, spooky read, I would definitely read Rosemary's Baby. All right, bear with me for this next one. I'm talking about The Eyes Are the Best Part. Okay, you guys, this book is like crazy. I was just really intrigued by the title and the cover. And so I checked it out, even though this is just a little bit extreme. But this book is just so good. So it's about this like Korean American college student who is going through some tough stuff at home. Her father has just left their family for another woman, and her mom is dating this like horrible, horrible guy who is like an Asian fetishist. And basically, Ji-hoon, our protagonist, is also having these like urges, these like cannibalistic urges, especially to like try eating an eyeball, specifically like blue eyes. And the story just kind of explores her villain origin story. And yeah, it's all about karma and has this really like crazy explosive ending. It's definitely one of those like good for her books. And I just loved it. It's just really funny and scary and definitely gruesome, but like in the best possible way. Very, very entertaining and an awesome spooky season rec. I have a full review about it if you want to hear more. So, this next book that I want to talk about is We Used to Live Here. This is about this couple that is flipping a house, and one day they have like this family that knocks on the door, and the dad is like, "Oh, like I used to live here. Like, can I come in and give my kids a tour of the house?" And the protagonist is really like nervous about letting them in. She doesn't really want to, but she kind of like ends up letting them in. And then once they're inside the house, everything goes to shit. Like strange things start happening. And I don't want to say anything more about what's happening because it'll totally spoil it for you, but it's just so unsettling. Like it makes my stomach like do flips just thinking about the plot and what happens. And the ending is like really ambiguous. We have no idea what's happening. I know that this book has like made a lot of people pissed off because of like the lack of explanation, but it's very like Twilight Zone, just really, really scary. And I will like randomly think about it and it just like makes me really unsettled. It's a very good spooky season book. You can watch my full review about it if you're interested in that one. So, this next horror book, I see a lot of people talking about it. And okay, I don't really think Diavola was scary. It was more funny. I have a full review about it. This is a story about this family that goes on vacation in Italy and they rent this like Airbnb villa that turns out to be haunted, but the family like doesn't believe that it's haunted. It's only like our protagonist that is willing to admit that it's haunted, and so everyone's kind of like ganging up on her, and she has to kind of get rid of the ghost on her own. She reminds me a lot of Aubrey Plaza, and so the book is just very, very funny, very satirical, and I like this book, but I didn't love it. I just couldn't really get scared when I was reading it because it's just too funny. It's really more of like a satire. So yeah, let me know if you plan on reading that book. You can watch the full review as well. I'm not sure if this next one really qualifies as horror, but it's definitely one part of this book. I'm talking about Nightbitch, and I just love this book so much. I think it would be a fun book to read around Halloween, and I just can't wait because this is actually being turned into a movie. It comes out, I think, sometime in December, starring Amy Adams, and so I've just been thinking about it a lot. If you haven't heard about this story, it's about this mom that thinks she's turning into a dog. Just super, super funny. I love any like absurd, unhinged story starring a woman, and this book just like lives up to the hype. Super entertaining, and I think it would be fun to read around Halloween. So let me know if you have read that and what you thought of it. Can't wait for the movie to come out. One more book rec that I have. I'm so bummed I haven't been able to finish it because my Libby hold expired, but it's called Brat by Gabriel Smith. This is like kind of an absurdist ghost story slash like body horror. It's about this author who's like struggling to write his second book, and his dad dies, so he goes back to like their creepy house to get the house ready to be sold, and he finds out all this like all these family secrets, and he feels like the house is maybe haunted, but he's also like he's maybe like turning into a deer or something like that. It's super weird. And I was listening to it as an audiobook, and it's actually narrated by the author, which is just really fun. I felt like I was in a trance, like listening to this kind of like Napoleon Dynamite type of character, just like talking and telling the story. Definitely good Halloween vibes. I can't wait to finish it. And yeah, these are my horror spooky recs. Let me know if you've read any of these books or if they're going on your TBR, and stick around. You can check out my other book reviews. I really love thrillers, mysteries, all kinds of fiction. And yeah, I hope you're having a great spooky season. Hope to see you again soon. Bye.